Hi there, I'm Mary Susie from Bead Me a Story, and today we are going to do the beaded stretch bangle bracelet. The other name I like to call this one is the stuck-up European 4-in-1, and that is because it's really technically a European 4-in-1, but all the rings on the sides get stuck up because they're framing the beads. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this in this version, but I also have, these are metallic beads, and I wanted to show you there are kits in all 4 of these that you can purchase, or you can just purchase the materials for yourself, and that's just fine too. This is the largest version of this bracelet that I do. It's quick, it's easy, it's fun, it stretches. You're going to have a great time making it. And then there's just one more thing I want to point out about this particular weave, and that is, notice how there's an O-ring on either side of your bead. So there's a lot of glass beads out there that have kind of volatile finishes on them. They can rub off over time, and so if you put them on bracelets and they're rubbing against your skin all the time, those colors can wear off. However, with this, you'll notice what's against your skin is just rubber, okay, and the bead is not getting any friction because all the beads are doing is showing up on the outside of the bracelet. So this is a great project for some of those really fancy finishes that you absolutely love, but you don't want to spend too much time on something because you're afraid it's going to wear off over time. So this is a great one to make, to really show off those beads. Feel free to vary the colors. You know, you don't have to just stick with one color like I did. You can, you know, do multiple colors all around it. I do sell rainbow packs of size 6 seed beads that are in a rainbow of colors. The only reason I don't do a lot of kits in rainbows is you need to do the math first and figure out how many rows you need before you decide how many colors in that rainbow, because of course you don't want it ending and starting in a weird place. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started making this project. I know you're gonna love it. It's one of my absolute favorites. So let's get started. Okay, so to start this weave, the first thing I've gone ahead and done is pre-opened all of my jump rings, and we might even do some pre-loading of the jump rings. I have 18 gauge 3/16 SWG jump rings here. I have 6mm O-rings. These are custom manufactured for Bead Me a Story, so you may not be able to find these anyplace else. And then we have our size 6 Matubo 3-cut beads. Now, I've also done projects this week with size 6 Miyuki seed beads in metallic finishes. You just want to be very careful when you choose your beads for this project that the hole is going to be large enough to facilitate an 18 gauge jump ring. I don't often use 18 gauge jump rings with beads, but the 3 cuts in the 6.0 have a nice big hole, and the metallic Miyuki beads that I used also have a nice big hole. You can also use Toho beads in a size 6, which I have used the metallics in, and they've worked great. The Toho tend to have the biggest holes in the center, so those are great choices to make, but I would not recommend Czech seed beads in a size 6 for this particular size in the project. If we move to different size jump rings and O-rings, then it'll work great, but I will show you that another time. For now, I just wanted to show you the fastest and easiest version of this project. Okay, so for our first row, we're going to have 1 jump ring, 2 rubber O-rings, and 1 bead. Okay, and our bead is always going to sit in between the 2 O-rings. So I'm going to pick up an O-ring, a bead, and an O-ring, and then I'm going to close my jump ring. Okay, now when I lay this down, I'm going to lay it like this, okay? So our bead is coming forward. I'm right-handed, so it's coming towards the right, and then it's got an O-ring on either side of it. Okay, so joining the second row is going to be the hardest row in the whole thing to do, and basically we're going to use the same thing, just a jump ring, 2 O-rings, and a bead. But we're going to pick things up in a little bit different order now. So what I'm going to do is take my jump ring, and I'm going to pick up my bead, and then I'm going to pick up the O-ring. And this is so that the bead winds up in the middle. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up my work. Now I have to keep these kind of squeezed together around that bead. And basically what we're going to do is just pass through both of the O-rings, and we're passing underneath the bead. So we're not going to be passing through the bead that's already here at all, okay? And like I said, this is the most challenging row. So just be patient with yourself on this one. It's just hard to get underneath that first one because there's not a whole lot out here to hold on to. And then I just want to show you right away, this jump ring it's going to flop underneath and push its way backwards. That's fine, just ignore it for now. When we get to the end and we go to connect everything together, then that will get corrected on its own when we link this jump ring. Okay, so we've got 2 rows here, and now I'll just show you, if you want to preload your jump rings, then you certainly can. You can pick up a bead and an O-ring, okay, and get yourself several rows going of this. Bead and an O-ring. Okay, I'm just going to do these couple to show you. So if you want to preload, that's fine. So now we're just going to keep doing the same thing. We're going to pass through the first O-ring, okay, and we're going to pass underneath the bead and out the next O-ring. Okay, so we're not passing through this bead once again at all. And then we're going to pick up our second O-ring and close. Isn't this neat? I mean, this is just such a fast and easy stretch bracelet, and I love that it protects the beads that are in between those rubber O-rings now. So, you know, unless you scrape your arm against something on the outside, you're never going to hurt your beads. Okay, so I'm going to pick up my next unit. I picked up my bead and my O-ring. I'm just passing through the 2 O-rings that are here. Okay, picked up a new one, and try not to do what I just did. Try not to let go of this starting point, because you have a good grip, and that's the reason we pick up the bead first, is so it butts up against your pliers. And if you let go of that, then a lot of times it's hard to get that grip back because the bead wants to shift up and take up all your space. Okay, and it doesn't seem like you have a lot of space with this, but you'll see that as you get going, because rubber O-rings are so malleable, you know, that you have more room in here to grab your jump rings to get them closed than you think you do, that it feels like. Okay, so passing through one O-ring, underneath the bead, out the next O-ring, pick up one for the other side, and close. Okay, so we're just going to keep going and keep making this chain longer until we get to the length that we want, and then I'll show you what to do with that. Okay, so as you can see, I have finished the length of this, and I wanted you to see how much this curls up. That can be a little bit difficult, a little challenging to fuss with, but it's okay, because as we go to match up the beginning and the end, it's really not going to be a problem anymore, and it's going to straighten itself out. So you remember at the beginning how we had this weird jump ring that wanted to curl up underneath? Okay, so that is going to be the jump ring we use to finish. So once you finish the length, you don't need any more materials. We have everything we need right here to finish this bracelet. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and open this guy back up. And I just wanna make sure, because as I said, this thing's curling. So I just wanna make sure that I'm working straight on this final bead and O-rings that I added. Okay, so this is the final row over here on my left, and over here on my right, this was the starting row where I reopened the jump ring. And once again, we're just going to pass through one O-ring under the bead and pass through the other O-ring that's on the other side of the bead. And then we'll get our pliers in there and we will close that final jump ring. Okay, and that is all there is to it. And you can see how it's already, I haven't even, you know, kind of stretched it out yet, but you can see it's already flattened out. It's not doing that curly thing that it's been doing. So I just do like that, like I just did, stretched out a little bit, and there we go. And I just want to point out that if you look on the sides, see how all of the jump rings are going on a diagonal. Okay, and that's because they're going, of course, through, you know, an O-ring, a bead, and an O-ring. And then when you pass that next row through, you're only passing through the two O-rings, and that's what you see here with this, how it's slanted down. That this side of this jump ring is only passing through two O-rings. So you see there's two O-rings, two more O-rings. So that is a 4-in-1. So one jump ring, 4 rubber O-rings. And that is why I call this one the stuck-up European 4-in-1. It's stretchy, it's beaded, it's fun, and it's super fast to make. So I think you're gonna have a great time making these. Great way to showcase all your beads. Feel free to change colors. Feel free to do whatever you would like to do. I love making these in like a little trio so that I can wear a few bangles at the same time. But remember, these are stretchy. To those of you who can't wear bangles because your hand's a little bit bigger than your wrist, this is gonna be no problem to get these on. Okay, so I hope you've had a great time learning to make this. Remember, I am going to show you some more sizes later on, but this is the fastest, easiest one to do. So I want to start here, and then we will work our way down into some smaller sizes later. Okay, thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you had a great time. Be sure to like and follow me on YouTube, and visit beadmeastory.com for these kits or the supplies to make these projects. Thank you so much.